If y'all could log into Pear Deck. Okay, so if you can't get on, please pay attention on the screen as we do these because they are going to be used on your homework.
So this is going over one of the homework sections?
It's going to be going, the homework today is solving equations, but some of it is using factoring, so.
Oh, well, I just meant like, are you going to put the actual problems in here or is it separate?
Yes, I'm fixing to give them to you right now.
Oh. Okay.
Okay. Okay, can y'all see this slide? What's the principle of zero product?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, cool. This is all stuff that these first slides are all the things you should have gained from watching the video on solving polynomial equations. And I use the times symbol, the X, I don't usually like to use the X. Some of y'all use it all the time, and I would really encourage you not to do that because it can cause confusion. Okay, so the principle of zero products is if you have two factors multiplied times each other. For example, if you have hold on just a second. Should be working here. That I thought I was. Can y'all write on this screen? Oh, I know why. Okay, so if you have two factors that are equal are multiplied together and they equal to zero, that means that either one of the factors has to equal zero and or the other one has to equal zero. So that would be D. So if A times B equals zero, that means that A equals zero or B equals zero. Okay, so what is the difference between an expression and an equation? So, are y'all seeing that question?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so an expression is not equal to anything. So it's just an expression does not have an equal sign in it. So you cannot solve it. An equation has an equal sign in it. So you can say, when I say solve it, that means tell what the variable equals to, like X equals to something or whatever your variable problem is. If you do not have an equal sign, you cannot tell me what the variable equals. We have no idea because it's not equal to anything. Okay. What is the first step when solving a polynomial equation? Okay. So the first step is to move all the terms to one side and set the polynomial equal to 0. Don't do anything else before you've done that. You must have the polynomial set equal to 0. Okay. So if 3x minus 4 times x plus 7 equals to 0, this is what I was talking about. If you have one factor times another factor equal to 0, then either the first factor has to equal to 0 and or the second factor has to equal to 0. So what would x be in this case? Okay, so in this case, you would take 3x minus 4, set that equal to 0. X plus 7, set that equal to 0, and solve both of those. So you would get here, you'd add 4 to both sides, and you get 3x equals to 4, and you would divide both sides by 3, and so x would equal to 4 over 3. And here you would subtract 7 from both sides, so you get x equals negative 7. Okay. What does it mean to find the zeros of a function? Good. And it is all of these. So if they ask you to find the zeros, they're asking you to find the places on the graph of the polynomial where the y value is equal to 0. So you can just set the whole thing equal to 0. Or if you've graphed it, it's the x-intercepts. Those are also called the zeros. Those are also the solutions of the equation. So basically, if you're asked to find the zeros, you're being asked to solve the equation. How do you find the y-intercept of a polynomial? The y-intercept, in other words, where does it cross the y-axis? It is. So the y-intercept, there's only going to be one y-intercept. There could be multiple x-intercepts that could cross the, if you're talking about a polynomial function, it could cross the it could cross the x-axis several times, but it cannot cross the y-axis more than once. So it would be anytime you're asked to find the y-intercept, all you have to do is plug 0 in for the x's. Plug 0 in all the x's, and that will give you y-intercept. True or false? If a times b equals 1, then a has to equal 1 or b has to equal 1. Okay, this would be false. And the reason I put this on here is because this is only true. A times b is equal to 0. That's the only time it's going to be true. Then a is equal to 0 or b equals 0. If any other number, it's not going to be true all the time. Might be true once or twice or whatever, but not all the time. So the only time it's true that a times b is when a times b equals 0. So I've seen people have like two factors equal like 7. Like they'll have x plus 3 times x minus 2 equals 7. And they'll set both the factors equal to 7. You can't do that. It's only 0 that that's true for.
Yeah, those would be reciprocals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think it happens in one case when they're both 1, right?
Yeah. It can happen, but it's not, it's not a rule.
Yeah.
But I've seen people treat it like it is. Okay, so these next factoring problems you'll need to do for your homework. So make sure you're writing them down. Five a squared minus 26a minus 24. Factor that. You can make your little pen if you're.
Right, and so this isn't an equation, this is a function.
That is, it is just an expression. Exactly. This
Expression,
is not
okay.
an equation. But what's going to happen on the homework is you will have an equal sign with it. So you'll be asked to solve an equation. So that's why I'm doing the factoring right now. But in the homework, you're going to be asked to solve an equation.
Thank you.
Yes. I don't see anyone doing this. This is going to be too
I
complicated.
need my calculator.
Okay. I see someone doing it. I hope y'all are doing this on your own paper because I only have one person. I'm assuming that's Michael doing it on the screen.
Me? Oh, no, sorry, I'm doing, I didn't.
No,
Just
no,
do it
I
on
want,
paper.
no, I want you to, oh, you're, okay, someone's doing it on the screen and I'm glad. We need two numbers that are going to multiply to negative 120 and add back to negative 26.
What is that called? Group factoring? What's the term you guys use?
Factor by grouping? Yeah.
Factor by grouping, there you go.
So it would be negative 6 and negative 20, right?
That would be positive 120 though.
I got 4 negative 30.
Oh, it would be positive 120. Yeah, 4 and negative 30. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, it would be 4 and negative 30. Okay. So whoever did that one on screen, who did that one? Thank you for doing that. Can someone tell me who it was? Did a great job, whoever it was. Oh, yes. And then of course I did it on the screen too, and I did a great job. Okay, so let's go on to the next one.
Oh, sorry, what was, could you show the answer again? Want to make sure I
Okay.
check it with mine.
Is that what you got?
Let's see here. That's all right, I'll check it later. That's all right.
Okay. But
Right.
yes, but you're right. On the homework, there will be an equal sign. It'll be equal 0, and then you will solve it. Like you will set those equal to 0. But
Thank you.
yeah. But I just want to make sure you know the difference, because a lot of times people will get a problem like this and they'll want to tell me what A is equal to, and you can't, because it's not equal to anything. There's no equal sign. Okay.
So is there a rule where when we split it apart, we put the 30, negative 30 and the plus 4? Is there some rule that we have to apply, or does it not matter?
No, it does not matter at all, except for I usually, if I have a choice, I put the negative one first so that I don't have to worry about it carrying it over into the second part, but it doesn't, it'll work either way.
Okay, so it's usually more convenient to put the negative
First,
Okay,
right, if you can. Sometimes there's 2 negatives, so you can't, but if you can do that, it's good. It makes it easier, a little bit easier. Okay, so 7a squared plus 7a, factor that. This you'll need for number 287 on the homework. Great. And whoever is doing it on the screen, you're doing a great job, but you forgot one little thing. There is another thing that will factor out.
I think there's just one step to this one.
There is.
Okay.
Yeah, there we go. Good job. That's it. Now, let me just tell you, if it is equal to 0, you would put both, anything with an A in it, anything with a variable in it has to be set equal to 0. So when you get to this on your homework, you would, if this was equal to 0, you would set this equal to 0 and this equal to 0. When that happens, okay? So.
Okay, so that's where you put or and
That's-
put those two things.
That's right. If there's an equal sign, right? You set any factor that has a variable in it equal to 0. Okay, so hopefully y'all recognize this as the difference of two perfect squares. And the difference of squares always factors to be a minus b times a plus b. So this would just be 7m minus 12 times 7m plus 12. And always remember, what is the first step? The first step when you're factoring anything, look for the blank. What's cool about this Pear Deck thing is I can go back, and this one's not so great because I know most of y'all are just working it on your paper, which is fine. But like the last one we did, I could go back and look and see what everyone was writing, and it's really kind of interesting for me to be able to see that after the fact. Something that I want to tell y'all is that when you factor a quadratic, that means a second degree polynomial, if it's an equation, you're going to get 2 answers. If it's third degree, if it's an equation, you will get 3 answers. Fourth degree, you'll get 4, et cetera, et cetera. That is not a coincidence. Okay, so you could factor that to be 2x times x minus 6 times x minus 6, or you could write it 2x times x minus 6 quantity squared. And that is the last of the Pear Deck presentation. So I am going to put y'all in groups. And I just want you to do those 6 problems. 277 and 281 are already factored. And then 283, 287, 289, and 309. You may have to get it in the right form, set equal to 0 first, but then we've already done all the factoring. Okay. Let's see, groups. And then we'll come back in about 20 minutes and go over those and finish out the assignment.
Where is everyone? Share my screen here. She said you do all 6 of them? Is that what she said? Or 7? Or 7 of them.
Everything but the word problems, I think.
So the 6 of them. I think the 7th one is a word problem.
Yeah, I think that's right.
But there's 2. Oh man. Those first 2 should be easy. Hopefully. Did everyone make it to the group yet? Dakota's sleeping. Is that what's happening? Zara's sleeping. Gabby, Hunter, and Aurora should be in here. Present. Craw. Mhm. Set it that way. Six would be what, 35. Oh, yeah, person. I'm doing that. I can just do this. This is easy to do. These are all first powers. First thing I'm writing.
Equals 0.
Yeah, so these can equal 0. So I'm hoping this one should not take you very long. So 3a is going to be equal to
10/3.
yeah, so a will equal 10/3. And then over here we got something similar to a is
Equal to 7. A equals 7/2.
so I know people start going quick and they will sometimes divide this wrong. They will flip. I don't know where that D came from. Okay, they will they will flip the numbers instead of doing like 10/3, they'll do 3/10. So I don't know what to tell you besides be careful, don't do that. This one is very similar.
Yeah, I wrote out the 2x minus 1 twice.
Yeah, you can do that.
Not
might
strictly
help you.
necessary for this particular one, but
Yeah,
good
it
mental
might-
image to keep.
It might help you like visualize it, right?
Then
Can you write-
equals 0.
Yeah, I don't want to write that out twice again. So we basically have this thing twice. So 2x minus 1 is equal to 0, or 2x minus 1 is equal to 0. Then what, 2x is equal to 1. And the last thing should be what x is.
1/2
Yeah.
with a multiplicity of 2.
Yeah, so we have this thing happening twice, basically. Mouse. There's mouse, there's select. Oh, that brings the whole thing down. not do that. Is there a superscript? Why didn't you put a superscript on this thing? So what are you getting on this one? What's the first thing you gotta do?
Subtract the 24 to make the equation equal 0.
Did y'all do this one already today? Or is it different?
It's the same as one of the other ones that we did on the pair deck thing.
That's what I thought. So what'd you get? What was it? I don't know. I don't remember what it was.
I got a equals -4/5 or a equals 6. That part comes out to 5a plus 4 and a minus 6.
Okay, so this is equal to 0. So that you did in pair deck. And still doing text. I should just keep doing my text. So either what, 5a plus 4 is equal to 0. Are there other people around? Are y'all listening? Hopefully. Or a minus 6 equals 0. Roar is here. Here we go. Is Gabby around? Running off on us?
Yeah, I just don't
Yeah.
get why is it 5a squared plus 4? And then why is it a minus 6?
So this is the factoring that y'all did in earlier in pair deck. So you should be doing the AC method. So you do 5 times 24 gives you what, 260? And then I think it separates into 10 and 26. Minus,
Separates into -30 and +4.
oh, that's what? I didn't even do that right. 5 times 4 is equal to 20. 120 is what it multiplies to. And 30 and 4 are the factors, with 30 being negative. So it looks like 5a squared, let's write it. 5a squared minus 30, a plus 4, a minus 24. And then you can either do this with the factor by grouping or putting it in the box. Like this. Move this down, move this down. That is smart. I could probably just squeeze this in over here. What is she doing? Is she going? She's in group 2. It's like half of them. I don't know. It's the easier half though, huh? These aren't so bad. So you have to move terms over. Always remember to factor out a GCF. Move terms over. All right, I'm gonna go see if 3 needs help. See if I don't remember where she started out. Hello.
Hi.
Has she been by here yet?
Oh yeah, she was here a couple minutes ago.
Yeah, she already came by.
How many did y'all work through? When did y'all work?
I'm on 287 right now.
287. Okay,
Mhm.
that's where I just left off with the other group. Oh, it's blue. Okay. Oh, I can change colors like that. What does this look like?
It's
Green.
yeah, it's like a blue green.
No, I mean the problem though. We got a 7a squared, and then we're gonna do what? What's the first thing you have to do with this?
I was actually wondering, so do we do a GCF or do we just set it to 0 without doing a GCF?
So the first thing you always want to do is set it equal to 0, and then find the GCF. So if you
Okay.
set it equal to 0, you're gonna do what? Subtract 7a. So I guess I gotta do it real
Yeah,
quick. He's about to
I
recall
just
us.
did 7a squared plus 14a minus 7a.
Oh shoot, there's 2 7a's, so it will be 7a squared plus 7a. Those terms will combine. I didn't notice that.
Oh yeah.
They're both a terms. So we got 7a squared plus that equals 0. I need to put my draw it, hurry up, draw it. Ugh, there's my square. Okay. Yeah, and then you factor out a common factor of 7a from both of those, I think. And that should leave you with what? A plus 1 times 7a, something like that. Hey, we got through about like half of them.
Okay,
And I got one to the other group, and then I worked one more. So
okay,
they should have got through about 4 of them, probably.
okay. All right, thanks. Okay, so we're looking at 277. Can y'all see my screen?
Yes.
So this one's already factored. It's equal to 0. So you're just going to take each one of those factors and set them equal to 0. And then solve. $281 is like 2x minus 1 squared. We've got equals to 0. It's already equal to 0. It's already factored. So 2x minus 1 times 2x minus 1 equals 0. And really you only have to do that once, but I did it twice because it's a quadratic. So you're coming up with 2 roots, but they happen to be the same one. And that does happen. So really it tells you have 2 factors. They might produce the same root though. It's called a double root, and we'll get into that more later in another lesson. So these, we already factored them in the pair deck, so everyone should have already had them factored. So basically all you had to do was set them equal to 0, and then factor, and then set each factor equal to 0. And on 283, you should have gotten a equals to -4/5 or a equals to 6. On 287, if you take 7a squared plus 14a and you subtract 7a from both sides to make that equal to 0, before you start factoring, you have to combine like terms. That 14a minus 7a becomes, and that should be plus 7a. So a would equal, and then once you factored 7a times a plus 1 equals 0, anything that has an a in it has to be set equal to 0. And the only thing that you could multiply 7 by that would give you 0 would be 0. So a would be 0 or a would be -1. 289. To get this one set equal to 0, you would just subtract the 144 from both sides. We have 49m squared minus 144 equals 0. And we already factored that in the pear deck. It's the difference of perfect squares. So it factors to be 7m minus 12 times 7m plus 12 equals to 0. And then you just take those factors and set them each equal to 0. So 7m minus 12 equals 0, or 7m plus 12 equals 0. And then you solve both of those linear equations and you wind up with 12 over 7 or -12 over 7. And the last one, you first want to set it equal to 0 and put it in order of exponent. So not only set it equal to 0, but also put it in descending order of exponent. So when we subtract that 24x squared, we also want to rearrange the polynomial so that it's in the right spot. So that's going to be 2x to the third minus 24x squared plus 72x equals 0. And then start factoring. And in this one, there is a GCF. Some things that people do that are incorrect when they're solving an equation is they just divide both sides by the 2x. But that eliminates one of your solutions. So never, ever, ever, ever divide by an x, okay? Because that will, you'll lose one of your solutions if you do. So it's 2x times x squared minus 12x plus 36 equals 0. Then we need two numbers that multiply to 36 and add to -12, which would be -6 and -6. So this factors to be 2x times x minus 6 times x minus 6 equals 0. And if you set each one of those factors equal to 0, you get x equals 0 or x equals 6. You do not have to repeat that x equals 6. You can just write 0 or 6. Later on, you're going to have to identify what type of root that is, and that's when you'll have to say it's a double root. But that's, again, that's later on. Any questions about this first part of the homework?
No, ma'am.
Okay, hopefully y'all are feeling pretty comfortable with it. Like Matt said, it's really just that one extra step of solving it, setting them equal to 0 and finding solutions. All right, so then on 313, it says for the function f of x equals x squared minus 8x plus 8, find f of x, find when f of x equals to -4. Okay, so that's like saying find when y is equal to -4. And how many times might that happen if it's a square? How many times could we get -4 as the y value? Because anytime they say f of x equals -4, that's like saying the y value is -4. How many times? What?
Should be twice, sorry.
Yes, twice. It could be twice. It might be, they might be the same point, right? But it could happen twice. Okay, so I'm going to count on it perhaps happening twice. Okay, they're saying for this function, find where f of x equals -4. That means where the y value is equal to -4, right? So what are we going to do with this x squared minus 8x minus 8 to find that out?
That's dangerous.
So they told us that f of x equals to x squared minus 8x plus 8. They've also said f of x equals to -4.
Right, so don't we plug in -4?
So we're going to set x squared minus 8x plus 8 equal to -4, right? Is that what you meant, Michael?
No, I thought because it was a function that we're gonna plug in -4.
Oh, I see what you're saying. No. Okay, so if they said, what is f of -4? That's when you would plug in -4. But they're saying f of x equals to -4. So we're looking for the y value. That's what we're trying to find. Okay. So if you're trying to find the y value, you set the equation equal to the value of the function. Does that make sense?
Oh, so what they're saying is that that entire function there of x squared minus 8x plus 8 would equal to -4.
That is exactly right. Right.
Okay, so you're not plugging it in.
Right.
Okay.
The only time you plug it in is if they say find f of -4. That tells you to plug it in. Okay. But they're not asking you to do that. They're saying what
Wow,
is,
we're
yeah.
gonna have to pay close attention to this terminology here.
Yes.
Find
You,
when.
and what you said, Michael, I'm really glad you said that because that is such a common mistake. People do that all the time. They just plug -4 in and they think that's their answer, but that is not. If they tell you f of x is equal to an equation and then find f of x when it equals to some number, then you set the quadratic function or whatever function equal to the number. All right, so now what we have is x squared minus 8x plus 8 equals -4. So now what do I do?
So if we're gonna move everything to a 0, we move the -4 over.
Right?
Would make the 8, I guess, into like a 12.
Yep. And then we're going to factor this, and we need two numbers that are going to multiply to 12 and at the same time add back to -8. Which would be -6 and -2. So I'm just going to write, you could do it by grouping or the box method, but because the leading coefficient is 1, I know it's going to factor to be x, and so it'll be x minus 6, x minus 2. And then what do I do?
Set both of those equations equal to 0.
Right. So then I'm going to say x minus 6 equals 0, x minus 2 equals 0. So x equals 6 or x equals to 2. So what are 2 points that lie on the graph of the function? If you want to name them by ordered pair, what would be 2 points that lie on this function?
It would be 2, 0 and 6, 0.
Okay, be careful. Because what did we set the whole thing equal to?
Those skeleton skulls.
That's 6, -4, and 2, -4.
That's right.
-4.
Right. It would be 6, -4 and 2, -4 would be the, does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. You're right.
That's what we were trying to find out. We're trying to find out where does this function equal to -4. So we solved it. And we found the zeros for this function. That if you ask, if I said, where does it cross, where does this x squared minus 8x plus 12 cross the x-axis, it would be at 6, 0, and 2, 0. But that's not what the original question asked. It said, where is this equal to this? So it would be at 6, -4 and at 2, -4.
And I'm so glad he said it. Like this is one of those instances, like I know like you're probably the only person that said it, but like at least 10 other people are probably thinking it.
Absolutely.
And there's
Absolutely.
12 people in the class, so that's a lot of people.
No, everyone was thinking that. Well, not everyone. Perhaps someone, like I heard someone say the right answer, but I
A lot
guarantee
of
you.
people. That's
A
a
lot
really
of people.
common mistake, and I'm glad it like got brought up. It's
No,
really good.
y'all brought up, and Michael brought up a great thing too, when he said plugging in -4. Both of those are exactly the mistakes people make. Okay. Now, this book loves launching rockets and throwing balls and throwing stones off of cliffs. So Julie is going to launch a model rocket in her backyard. And when she launches the rocket, this is the function that represents the height of the rocket above the ground at time t. Okay, so she launches the rocket and it starts on the ground and it does like this, and then it hits the ground. Okay, so when we're looking at this at time 0, the height of the rocket is 0. And then when it hits the ground, the height of the rocket is 0 again. Okay, but I don't know how much time it's going to take to hit the ground. So far, this is all I've got. The time is the x-axis and the height is the y-axis. Okay, so this rocket is doing this, 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 this. So at a certain time, it will be a certain height above the ground. Now here it says, find the zeros of the function, or find the zeros of the function which tell us when the rocket will hit the ground. Okay, so remember, zeros mean where does it cross the x-axis, or in an application problem, 0 is when the rocket is on the ground. Well, we know that first time the rocket is on the ground is at time 0. So what we're looking for now is when is the second time the rocket's going to be on the ground. So what am I going to do to find that?
We did have a similar problem in the notes, but they didn't start from the ground. It was a little different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what will we do that with that -16t squared plus 32t to find out when the height is 0?
When you set it equal to 0?
Set it equal to 0, exactly. So this is saying -16t squared plus 32t equals to 0. And I wanted to say something right now because they never explain this, and I always think it's interesting. If you have never had physics, which I never had physics, which I'm sorry I haven't, and maybe one day I will actually take physics. For the longest time, I'm like, where is that -16? It's always in the problems. What do you think that -16 stands for? If we're talking about a rocket going up and then coming back down, what does that -16 stand for? You'll see it in problems all over the place, all the time, when we're talking about projectile motion.
Gravity?
Yeah, stands for gravity.
It's acceleration.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like feet per second squared is what it's measured in.
Feet per second squared, but it's taking into the account gravity, exactly.
And that 32 is the velocity, ain't it? Being feet per second.
I think so. Like I said, it
Because when you
definitely
get-
has meanings.
When you get to calculus, there's position, then there's velocity, then there's acceleration, and one of them's they're derivatives or integrals of each other, depending how you look at it.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So one thing we can do here. Well, I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to do it just the way we always do. What is the GCF?
16t.
Uh-huh. And always, and here's something I want you to always do. If there's a negative, always factor out the negative as well. So I'm going to factor out a negative 16t. And if I factor out negative 16t, what's left in the parentheses?
T minus 2.
T minus 2, yes. And now what do I do?
You set them both equal to 0.
Right. So I'm going to say negative 16t equals to 0. T minus 2 equals to 0. And so t on this first one would be equal what?
0.
0, right. So that's this one right here. That's like saying at time 0, the height of the rocket is 0 feet above the ground. And then what's this one? T equals to
2.
2. And what that's saying is that at time 2 seconds, the rocket hits the ground. Okay, so then it says, find the height, find the time that the rocket will be 16 feet above the ground. Okay, so like, I'm just totally making stuff up. I don't even know, like right here, maybe at like a 0.25 seconds, the rocket is, I don't know, it's not ever going to be more than 2 seconds. So we'll say maybe the rocket is going to be, I don't know, 14 feet above the ground. I totally made that up and it's totally wrong. But that's what I'm just trying to show you what they're asking us for. So what are we going to do? We want to know when the rocket is 16 feet above the ground. I'm just pretending like this is 16 feet. So is that the X value or the Y value?
It's Y, right?
It's the Y, so 16. And then what we're looking for is the time, right? So what am I going to do with the equation?
You have to set this equal to 16.
Yes. So think about it, right? And a common mistake would be people would be plugging 16 in for t, but we're trying to find t. So we have to plug 16 in for the y value. So we're going to say negative 16t squared plus 32t equals to 16, right? And now what?
Set it equal to 0.
Set it equal to 0.
Track 16.
Now what?
Find the GCF.
Which is?
16.
Okay, but what else do you need to take out besides just the 16?
I feel like I'm missing a.
Negative, right. Always put, if
Yeah.
the leading coefficient is negative, always factor out that negative.
Right. Come out to positive t squared minus 2 plus 1. Yeah, so t squared minus 2 plus 1.
So that will factor to be what?
Oh, sorry, it'll be negative 1. So t squared minus 1. Sorry.
T minus 1 squared, right?
Minus 1, sorry, yeah. Oh crap, you're already writing it, my bad.
All right, so what time will the height of the rocket be 16 feet?
1.
1 second.
It's either 1 second or it's 1 second.
Either 1 second or 1 second. Now, if it was something other than the peak, you'd always have 2 times, right? You'd have, like, if it said, like 14 feet, that would be like here and here. There'd be 2 places where it would hit 14 feet. But at the peak, it's only going to hit the peak 1 time. And that's when this happens.
So what about the -16? We just disregard that because we're solving for t?
Don't we like take away the 16? Like,
Yeah.
like
This
equals
goes
0.
back to the zero product rule. There's no way that -16 can be equal to 0, so we don't even have to really think about like constant coefficients a lot of times.
Right. Yes. Right. So if you see something without a variable, like if you set -16 equal to 0, that makes no sense, right?
Right, that's no solution.
Right. So you just don't do that.
So you don't even write it then.
No. Now, if you had a t attached to it, then you would.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
Yeah. But if it's
Okay.
just a constant, you can just don't worry about it. Would y'all like to see another one like this or not?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think a problem like that would trip me up, probably.
It's not moving. Get my screen to stop moving. Okay. For some reason, it doesn't like sharing that second screen. Okay. Shoot, I've lost the equation.
Yeah, that's not going to be something they can do till they get to the quadratic section with the maximums.
Yeah, that's a bad problem anyway. You're right.
That's the vertex, yeah.
Okay, well, let me ask, like, would there be a similar word problem like in the textbook or something? You could
There
refer
is,
to?
and there's one on tonight's in the written exercises as well.
Okay, well, I'll just do that one.
Okay. And if you have any problems with it, just let us know and we can work it tomorrow or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess I'll like email maybe if I have any questions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I always worry about the word problems.
Yeah, if you have, if you have an issue, if you have problems and you turn it in a little bit late, that's okay. But I hope you don't have any problems. If you do, that's okay. Any other questions, you guys?
No, not for me.
Okay. Well, I think we're through for the day then.
All right.
Tomorrow we'll be reviewing for the test.
Take care, y'all.
Yeah.
Thank
See
you.
y'all tomorrow. Bye-bye. And I'll be on for a while if anyone needs me.
Thank you.
Oh, Matt, I was going to ask you. So Friday we're starting transformations and continuing that on Monday. Do you think that I don't mind doing it at all on Friday? I'm happy to do it because you'll be grading tests and doing all kinds of other stuff. I don't think it'll matter that one of us teaches it one day and the other the next day. Do you? I'll watch what you. Okay. I just want to be consistent. I'll watch your video and make sure I'm doing it the way you do it.
I gotta do that by Thursday. Okay. I stopped recording. That's what I need to do. I don't need to hear all this. Where is it? More. It's hiding in here.